Good morning, friends. It is I, Bad Association. How are you today? Good? Good. Nice to hear. Today I'd like to read from the Examining the Scriptures. This is the 2011 edition, so this is the current edition that all good Christians read every morning so they can get their, daily dose of spiritual food at the proper time, and breakfast is the most important meal of the day, so you have to start off with your daily text. If you didn't do it that day, you'll definitely do it if you go out in service that day, because, you have to read it before you go out and get all jazzed up and zealous. Let's read the one for Wednesday, November 2nd. I realize today is Friday, but let's read the one for Wednesday. It was hump day, and, a lot of people need some encouragement to help them get up and get out and want to preach the good news and just be a good Christian all around. So let's read. November 2nd, Wednesday, 2011. The scripture cited is Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1, where it states, "For everything there is an appointed time." The Society's comment is, "When we are being represented in public prayer, we need to display reverential fear of God. There may be a proper time and place for some actions that would be inappropriate at a Christian meeting. For instance, suppose someone sought to have all in a group link arms or hold hands during such a prayer. This might offend or distract some, including visitors who do not share our beliefs. Some marriage mates might discreetly hold hands, but if they embrace each other during public prayer, those who got a glimpse of such conduct might be stumbled. They might think or get the impression that the couple was focusing on their romantic relationship instead of reverence for Jehovah. Out of deep respect for Him, let us therefore do all things for God's glory and avoid conduct that could distract, shock, or stumble anyone." So, according to the Watchtower, holding your wife or any other loved one who's next to you is disrespectful to Jehovah, first of all, because we're focusing on our intimate relationship and not on our relationship with Him. And it's also stumbling to those who don't share our beliefs, possibly even to those who do share our beliefs. What the fuck is wrong with the Watchtower? When I was younger, it was extremely hard for me to keep my eyes closed during a prayer. So, like any other kid, I would open and look around. It's interesting to see what happens when people think you aren't looking. But one of the things that I always saw was couples holding hands, having one arm wrapped around the other's waist or over their shoulders, and just general closeness like that. I would even see some families holding hands. Now, I realize not everyone was going to hold hands. That may have looked a little creepy. You have to hold hands across aisles and people can't walk. It's a nuisance. But that was one thing I always saw, and it was always comforting and always very warming to see. Because if you're speaking to your Father, which is how you're supposed to view Jehovah, then it's a very loving and intimate relationship. If you're sharing that relationship, well, obviously you have your own personal relationship with God, but if also others in your family are sharing that relationship, how disrespectful do you think it is to the God of love for you to hold your wife's hand, for you to hold your child's hand, for you to wrap your arm around your grandmother while you're standing there? Say you're a ministerial servant, or you're a Bethelite, or you're a traveling overseer, and you're finally home in your home congregation, not where you serve, and you're there with your mother and maybe your mother's mother, if she's still around, some of your other family members. And let's say you even just gave a talk, a public talk, or some special talk that everyone had to fly and drive out to come see because it was so important. Do you really think that that brother is going to stumble anyone in the congregation if someone peeks while they're praying and sees him holding his mother's hand on one side and his grandmother's hand on the other side, just sitting there, eyes closed, maybe even smiling? I mean, to think that that's how would that stumble a Christian? How would that stumble any person who is seeing a display of love? It's not like it's one of these public displays of affection where you see the the teenagers, how they do these days in the malls and in the movie theaters, just basically dry humping each other. It's not that. It's not the weird couple that's dating in your office that everyone thinks is a perfect fit because they're so awkward in personality and in looks. And they're just swapping spit, busting slobs over in the corner. It's not that. It's a hug. Not a full-out two-armed embrace, but a hug. Or maybe you lean your head on the other one's shoulder, or vice versa. Where is this coming from? Unfortunately, my laptop crashed, so I don't have my Watchtower library anymore. So I can't look up the Watchtower that this is deriving some of its comments from. If someone could do that and let me know what it says, it'd be awesome. It's the December 15th, 2009 Watchtower. Then it says 119. I'm thinking that's page 1, paragraph 19, or it could be page 19, paragraph 1. I'm not sure. Either or, I'd really like to see that, to see how that correlates to this. Because as this starts out, as all of our daily texts do, they start out with the scripture, Ecclesiastes 3:1. For everything there is an appointed time. Now it seems like that can be applicable to this situation, and actually if you take it in that context, it can be applicable to any situation. So let's see what was more specific in this particular situation. It's from Ecclesiastes 3. They took verse 1. It actually goes on for a while, but some of the things that it speaks of that there are appointed time for, says there's a time for birth, time to die, time to plant, time to uproot, time to kill, time to heal, time to break down, time to build, time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to wail, a time to skip about, time to throw stones away, time to bring stones together, a time to embrace and a time to keep away from embracing. Maybe that's the one they're speaking of. By the way, when I looked up this scripture and a couple other Bibles, it actually says there's a time to embrace and a time to shun embracing. I wonder why that word was switched in this Bible. Even so, a prayer is a time to keep away from embracing. When would that be? I don't know when there would be a time not to embrace someone. I mean, it's a hug. Everyone needs a hug sometimes. I could have used a hug. Last week, I had a disturbing experience. I could have used a hug, and I got a hug from a couple of random people at the moment. And it strangely made me feel better. So I don't see when there would be a time to keep away from embracing. But I really seriously doubt it's when you're praying, because you're talking to the God of love, showing love while you do it. Witnesses, if you're watching this, you can't tell me that this didn't make you cringe a little bit. I mean, how weird would it be that if you were peeking, because you're not supposed to look when you're praying. Your eyes are supposed to be closed, so you're not distracted by anything. Which brings up a good point. The fact that someone knows this and to the extent that they felt they could write a comment in the daily text, knowing that every witness is supposed to be reading this on this day, on this same day, every day. Not every day, on this same day, but all over the world. All these witnesses are supposed to be reading your comment. This means that you were peeking, you were looking, you weren't a good Christian. I wonder if anyone thought about that. You shouldn't be looking anyway. Keep your eyes closed. This is reverential. This is fear of God. This is praying. So the fact that they're seeing that in the first place shows that they're a dirty Christian. You're bad. You should be expelled from Bethel, along with your hip-hop tapes. Oh, man. Anyways, I just came across this. It was posted on the Pause, that's P-A-W-S, the Pause Facebook page. Join that if you are a person against the Watchtower Society, because it's for people against the Watchtower Society. Let's both pause. Join that. You'll be able to meet up with some other people who share the same thoughts and feelings that you have if you're watching this video and you're enjoying it. Yeah, it's a really good support system. And a lot of my apostle buddies are on there, so that's awesome. Hi guys. It's man, badass. Yep, so that's it. Thought that was interesting, and I thought I should share that. And I thought people should know what the witnesses are reading on a daily basis, because this is just one of the things that they all have to take in at one time and are told to apply in their life that day. No, you're supposed to read the text and find where you can apply that. Well, obviously at some point you're going to pray, so that means when you pray, don't hug. Don't hold hands. At least not at a Christian meeting. Apparently at home you can do that. Since it's not brought up there, that's one of those little loopholes. At home, you can hold hands, you can hug. But not at the meeting. With your Christian family, because that wouldn't be Christian. So everyone's supposed to stand there, arms to your side, head down, eyes closed. No peeking.